Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And this week, we have with us, joining us from Utah in the United States, Jill Stott. Hey, Jill. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Vasco. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for being up so early. It is 8 a.m. as we record this. For Jill, not for me, but for Jill, it is 8 a.m. And Jill, as she says, is here to make friends. She's worked in IT for too many years to count. She's passionate about assisting Scrum Masters to be successful and happy in their roles. Jill knows that there is no such thing as a perfect chocolate chip cookie, and she isn't afraid to use puppets. I love that part.
Where's my
Let's see
puppets?
where puppets take us today. All right, Jill. So that was a short intro. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
Absolutely. So I've been in IT for, like I said, too many years. Started with in a lot of different roles, and so let me tell you the story, sir. So I was in QA for 15 years, and we experimented with all these different methods of trying to get things to be better, and then ended up being pushed into Scrum. And with the team, we had someone playing the role of Scrum Master that was a temporary person. That person left. And so the manager said, okay, we need someone else to be a Scrum Master. And nobody wanted to be the Scrum Master. So I'm like, I'll do it. That's how I did it.
This is why we're learning the QA people end up being Scrum Masters, right? Because nobody else wants it.
Yes, I think that is so true. I see that quite a bit where QA people become the Scrum Masters and Agile coaches. So I said, okay, I'll do it. I had no idea what I was doing, by the way. Had no training. They didn't train any of us. I was just like, what is Scrum? Looking it up on Google.
Luckily, there was Dr. Google there to help us.
Doctor. PhD. He's a PhD. Yes.
Absolutely.
So that was my first time. Goodness gracious. That was at least 15 years ago.
And of course, with that story come many other stories. And today's Monday here on the podcast, Jill. So we like to explore a story of failure. Now, of course, it's not to dwell on what went wrong, but rather to extract lessons, things that everyone listening can apply to their own work and therefore avoid the same problem. So tell us that story, Jill.
Oh, thank you. I always advocate for failure. And I tell people when I'm working with them, like, I've learned everything the hard way by doing it wrong first. So work from me. So it's hard for me to pick one. I guess I have to, let's go back to that original Scrum Master story. First of all, I got thrown into it, didn't know what I was doing. So my primary goal was I just wanted to help, and I didn't know how to help. And we were under so much pressure to deliver something very difficult. So I was friends with everybody. So we would have our meetings, and there was the conundrum was this third-party integrated tool that we were using that wasn't working right. And so me being naive, like, oh, I'll take care of it. I'll handle it. And so I ended up calling this. It was actually IBM. I had to call a company, and I was way out of my element trying to make a difference in the wrong way. And the team didn't want to do it. It's like, oh yeah, you do that. So I ended up just doing a lot of admin stuff because I wasn't sure what else to do. And I knew it wasn't really adding that much value. I think the failure was, A, I didn't understand the role of a Scrum Master. B, I wanted to seem busy, so I took on these admin roles that weren't really adding much value. And the team didn't want to do it, so they kept pushing on to me, which didn't empower them at all. I was just doing this stuff they didn't want to deal with. And then I guess the third one is I was doing two roles. So
you're kind of caught in the middle, right? Like, I need to test, but I also need to help the team. And I want to help the team, but wait, I need to test as well. And
right. And so one of them is going to always take precedent. And the QA stuff, I had lists of stuff I had to do in Rally. And so that always took precedent. And so this Scrum Master stuff was like this small little piece. And I originally I thought, oh, especially with a team that's new to Agile, having a Scrum Master that's trying to wear multiple hats, it was impossible. And I wanted to do a good job and learn more, but it's a push and pull. So I think that's another lesson, especially with a team new, having you be a team member plus the person trying to help the team achieve their goals and work outside there to remove roadblocks is very difficult. How's
And
that?
one of the things that comes to mind when I hear this story is I have seen many Scrum Masters that, even though they might not think this way, they seem to want to be seen as being busy. And one of the things that happens, and I saw that at a few clients, is that Scrum Masters start calling all the meetings, right? Like, so let's take a very simple example. I'm the new Scrum Master. I'll call in the sprint planning, the refinement, the review, the retro, the daily stand-up, and a few, design meetings here and there from stuff that comes from refinement. Like, I become kind of the secretary. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is, for the Scrum Master that wants to seem busy, they will also want to participate in all these meetings. And especially for those of us like myself who have a background in project management, we'll probably try to run these meetings.
Right.
Like calling people up on the stand-up. Hey, John, what did you do? Hey, Mary, what's up? Like, and for me, when we put these two things together, I want to add value, but I also want to seem busy. And meetings are a very simple way to do that.
That's
then
true.
we become kind of meeting managers, but also we become the cause of many meetings that could have been solved with, hey, John, could you talk to Mary?
That's true. Oh, let's have another meeting. So it looks like Jill's busy and important and valuable. Ooh, Vasco. Smart.
And for me, when I heard this story, I've seen many Scrum Masters, so I wanted to ask you this question because you were there, right, in this first story that you were sharing with us. How did you pull yourself out of that role, right? This person who wants to seem busy, and even though I want to help, I also have all of these other things to do. How did you get yourself out of that role?
So I did that for, I think it was a year or so. And then I just realized this is not working. So I went to the manager and I said, I can't do this, both jobs. And so they ended up hiring a different Scrum Master. And then I was 100% in QA. I said, I can't do both. And so I let the Scrum Master go for that.
And actually, this is a very good point, because now one could say, oh, but that's a failure. No, I think that's the success, right? Because you could have also gone the other way, right? You could have said, look, I can't do these two jobs. I really want to be a Scrum Master, and I feel I can't give all my heart and attention to the QA job. Could you hire another QA, right? It could have gone that way. Yeah. But to recognize that, I've reached the point where I don't feel I'm adding value, and saying it that out loud and literally getting help from the manager, right? I think that's a very important realization for all of us.
Thank you. Well, and it helped the team. It was not just, well, I guess part of it was selfish. I'm like, this isn't working for anybody. We need to make a change. We need to pull in somebody with more experience as a Scrum Master, who has more time to do that. And it was actually one of my friends who stepped in, who was in QA, who wanted to leave QA and be a full-time Scrum Master at the time. So it worked out great.
Yeah, absolutely. And these things, when they are done before any conflicts emerge, tend to end up great anyway, because people want to help each other.
That's true.
Of course, there are psychopaths out there, but they are rare. They are not the regular people we work with.
1%, I think. It's more men than women. That's
something like that. But anyway, it's not too many, right? So
that's true.
Opening up the conversation and actually literally getting help, and meaning asking for it and accepting it, because we also need to accept the help that is given, obviously, becomes such an important aspect of us to grow in that particular role. In your case, you continued in the QA, but for your other colleague, it was the opposite, right? They left QA and went to the Scrum Master job.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
That was a great story. Thank you for sharing, Jill.
My pleasure.
Monday is about what we learn from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests help their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.